Hello, everyone. It's podcast day. I had to say it. I always say it. We love podcast day. We missed last week. We were actually working very diligently to launch our newest product, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Our newsletter officially launched yesterday. And so, first, I want to welcome you to the Citizens Advisory Podcast presented by Citizens Advisory of Pennsylvania. I'm Jess Stahlnecker, Executive Director. I'm joined once again by our Vice President, Ben Herring. We are both so excited to talk today about the launch of our monthly newsletter. And we want to just kind of fill you in on where this came from, why we thought it was really important to launch a newsletter, what you can expect from our newsletter, why we think that it is so important and contributes to our mission, and then how, of course, if you're not already on our list for distribution, how you can get on that list. So it's going to be short, it's going to be sweet, but we want to just share this with you because we think that this is the next big step for our organization. So Ben, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate you having me. I miss podcast day on Fridays when I'm not around, so this is exciting to be back with you running through this good old podcast.
Yes.
But I want to kind of start with the, maybe the beginning statement that we want to make here is just to let everybody kind of know that if you're following us or if you're on the Facebook page with us, you see a lot of information sharing every single day. I think it's very beneficial. It's very impactful. It's efficient. However, I think when you're on our social media site, a lot of people can lose track of really what we do as an organization because that is an open forum. That is where folks go. It's the public square. Folks go there to communicate, go back and forth on topics, all that good stuff. And I think this newsletter, why I'm so excited about it, you did a fantastic job putting it together, is it actually captures what we truly work on behind the scenes that people don't see.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I mean, we are staunch defenders of the United States Constitution. We always will be. That's one of the main reasons we exist. So when folks go on our social media sites, you're going to see stuff such as social issue stances. One may have one opinion, one may have another. You're going to have sharing political stories. A lot of folks that are really worried about where the direction of our country are also very involved with politics, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they share that on our page. We're not going to restrict free speech. That's antithetical to what we stand for and what we do. So if you're on our social media page, what I'm kind of saying here is I don't want people to get lost in the messaging on social media as that's 100% what we do, because we're not political. When it comes to our organization, we are a parental rights organization, period.
A
Right?
501c3 that
Correct.
cannot be political in nature. And so, again, I think it's important, like you just said, on our Facebook group, in our group, we have over 1,800 members. And so, again, like you said, we have a lot of people sharing a lot of information every single day, and we don't limit that. And there's a purpose behind that. We want people to be able to share different stories, different opinions, different angles. However, when it comes to our organization, we did want to have a way to update you on our priorities and how we are working to make sure that they stay our priorities and that we're protecting children through these priorities. And so, that's why we think that this newsletter is so important. We think that it contributes to our mission by keeping a very, very narrow focus on our priorities, which I'm going to have Ben really quickly just go through again, because we talked about this in episode 1 of our podcast, but I think it's really important if you're listening for maybe the first or second time to understand what we do as an organization and what our priorities are. So Ben, I'm going to leave that up to you to kind of go through our 8 priorities and as an organization, and how our newsletter we'll talk about how it serves to kind of update everyone in those areas.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. So the one meme that I think is so funny, you ever see the one where they have DC politicians looking out into the distance, and then you see like nuclear warheads going off and explosions everywhere, and they're like hands are around each other and they're like, oh, what a beautiful morning. I get it. And I completely can resonate with that. Our country, our world is in shambles. Like everything around us is chaotic right now.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of clarify what I was saying earlier in terms of people sharing information. That's going to continue happening. And we are completely on board with that. That's fine. That's social media. That's what social media users do. So don't get discouraged. Don't think we're trying to say that we don't like seeing that. I like seeing all those different views. That's perfect. But to Jess's point, when it gets down to brass tacks, and we're talking about the meat and potatoes of what we do as an organization, we are going to send out a newsletter every month. We're going to continue doing a whole lot behind the scenes that a lot of folks don't see. And that newsletter will be focused on these 8 priorities that Jess is talking about. I'll go through them very quickly. The first one that we have is basically Title IX. We need to protect our young girls in school. They need to have dignity and respect given to them at all times. That means somebody can't just wake up, say they identify as a coyote or a bear or a squirrel, and be whatever they want to be. That's not, reality needs to exist in this country still today, 2023. That's our first priority. We're going to continue going after that. Second one is 903 free speech. You should be able to go to your school board. You should be able to redress your government at all times. If you're being stifled, if they're trying to kick you out of a building because they don't like what you have to say, that's a problem. We're going to keep after that one. Mm-hmm. Third one, which is becoming a lot more prevalent, and I know Amy, our second vice president, is really onto this, is surveys and mental health. If you had $1 for every time you heard somebody in the last 10 months say, we have a mental health crisis, you would be rich because everybody's saying it. But there's some sinister things that tie to that. And we're tracking some of those things and we're going to continue to. So surveys in school, while they may seem harmless to you, we'll let you know when we get in and we actually dig through them to see what they really are about.
And not to interrupt, but we do have a full episode on that. So that's something that you can definitely go back and listen to.
Absolutely. The fourth is DEI. Anything when you talk about equity, it's much different than equality. Won't get into that. You can also watch a whole episode on that one. But that's something we look into. We do not want divisive curricula in schools that are teaching children to hate each other based upon their skin color or some other characteristics that they can't change, right? Fifth priority, which is a really, really good one, and this has come about the last few months a lot, adherence to lawful guidance such as PA and federal law, Sunshine Acts, COPPA, FERPA, HIPAA, parental opt-outs. Basically, if the legislature creates laws or there's federal laws, these schools must follow them. If they're not following them, that's a problem. That's our fifth priority. We're looking into that. And we did that with the opt-out. We provide an opt-out for parents to use when they need to. And if a school says we're not going to honor that opt-out, we're going to be in that fight with you.
100%. Yep.
Sixth is violence in schools, also becoming an issue with discipline and, at times teachers not having the ability to discipline children due to administrative policies. We're tracking that. Academic performance is another priority that we have. Since 1979, we went from 1st to 24th in the entire world. And education performance, that's a problem. So we're tracking that. And then fiscal responsibility. If you're a taxpayer, even if you don't have children, or even if you don't have, children, like kids that have, like a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, whatever, extended family, if you will, you're still paying taxes if you live in that district. So there's probably a good chance you would like to know what your taxpayer money is going to. So that's another part that we look into. And those are our priorities. And when you see this newsletter, you're going to see these priorities always prevalent within that newsletter. Absolutely. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So when we decided on the format of our newsletter, we decided that there would be one main feature article. And so whatever, and that's going to change every single month, depending on what we're working on, depending on what we're seeing. And that's kind of the beauty of it. It's like when things in this whole parental rights fight here, all of these things are constantly shifting and changing their dynamic. So we're able to put out a monthly newsletter that updates you on what we're working on, what we're seeing, how things are changing, any kinds of wins that we've had, anything that you need to look out for as a parent. And so that's kind of what we do. And that's what we've released. So we had a school board spotlight where we had our treasurer, Mike Potts, go kind of just talk about like the first time, like how he went to a school board meeting for the first time, had really no idea what to expect, didn't know what was really supposed to be the expectation of the school board, learned about it, and now is holding his board accountable. And they've gotten so much better at making sure that they're transparent with the public. So things like that. We had your update on basically the opt-out responses we've been receiving and how it really is a parent's right to opt their child out at any given time. We had Amy's update on surveys. We had an opinion piece by Ed Brunn regarding Couth. I gave an update on the gun raffle and where that stands and how you can get involved. So it's all of these different aspects of our organization and really how you can stay in the know, but also how you can get involved with us and help us continue our mission.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting too that.
Oh God, I just muted you.
I'm good. I'm unmuted now. No worries. Critical thinking is, I say this all the time, critical thinking is dead in America. It is dead because people have been going after it. They want folks to live in an echo chamber. A lot of these insane radical groups are stigmatizing any kind of dissent. So if you don't align with what they're saying to a T, they're going to attack you. We are no different. We're very cognizant of that. I just don't think a lot of us care because we know what we're doing is we have the moral high ground and they hate that. And that's why we get attacked by people calling us names. Again, when you stop caring about that, and you stay focused on what we need to do, life gets much better. Just focus on what we're doing. So we're going to continue to stay in this fight. We're not going anywhere. We never will go anywhere. We're going to be around for a long time. But what I'm saying by that is in a critical thinking world, you have to be able to do homework on your own. So we're going to give you articles. We're going to give you our opinions. We're going to give you things that we've learned, such as how two school districts 145 miles apart had the same exact response to an opt-out form. If you want to challenge that and you want to go out and find, shoot holes in it in our story, email us. I'm all for hearing that. I will listen to anybody at any time if they want to have an objective conversation. And Jess, I'm sure you share the same thing. So when it comes to feedback and all that, again, we're parents, we're regular people. We go to football games on the weekends. We go to softball tournaments and all that stuff. There you go. We do this on our volunteer time. So if you think that something we're saying is inaccurate, if you think you have something that can bolster what we're saying, if you want to contribute to the newsletter, bring it on. Bring everything on.
Yes.
We're willing to hear anything, right?
I think that's such a good point. Like, we're no different than you. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a parent, you're a guardian, you're an aunt, you're an uncle, like you care about kids, like you are concerned about what's going on in our schools right now. Like, we're no different than you. We have our own kids. We, like Ben said, we love Friday night football games and we're taking them to, sporting events on the weekends, their own sports. We're coaching our kids' sports, but we think that this is so important enough to pour all of our energy and our efforts into this. We are a group of one paid employee and a group of volunteers. And so we all are so passionate about this that we are willing to use free time, to I want to make it clear, our board members who are all volunteers, they were the ones who wrote these articles. So they're taking time out of their busy lives. They all work full time to write these to keep you in the know. And so I just think that Ben had a good point there. Like, if you care enough about these things, get involved with us. Like, if you have anything you can contribute to the newsletter in terms of knowledge or questions or anything that you would like to see, if you have something that you want us to write about or to update about, please let us know. Like, we are responsive to those types of things. We're here to serve you, to protect our kids, and to serve you as a public. So I think that that's really, that's the purpose of this newsletter is to give you updates on what you need to know and what you need to see in order to stay in this fight.
Absolutely. And final comment too is basically, not to be a wise guy, but don't play Monday morning quarterback. To your point, Jess, if you feel like you have information about any of our topics, and that's not just this month, this is going to be as we move forward, bring it to the table. Bring your argument to the table, or bring your additional information to the table. Let's have a conversation about it. But what we've seen over the last few years, really, that we've been doing this as an organization, is the echo chambers and the hit pieces that are out there every single day. Well, here's what we're saying to those folks, even those folks that don't agree with us. Bring facts to the table. Let's have a conversation about it. That's a big part that they don't like to do. We will do that. We're going to put out a newsletter. And then again, if somebody has something that they want to contribute to that newsletter, or they want to challenge us on the newsletter, we're not hard to find. You guys know where to find us.
Absolutely. So yeah, in fact, you can find us on Facebook. Nice segue, Ben. Good job.
Thank you.
You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter, both Citizens Advisory of PA. If you are enjoying this podcast, of course, we appreciate it if you like, subscribe, share it with people that are like-minded and really need to hear what we have to say. And we're also available wherever on all of the major podcast platforms. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. You might be watching this on YouTube. So you can find us in a lot of different places. We really appreciate when you listen. We really appreciate your feedback. And certainly head to our website. You can go on our website right now on our homepage. We have a contact us little box at the bottom. It's not the one that pops up in the beginning, join our newsletter. It's the one that you actually have to get to our homepage. Okay. X out of that box, get to our homepage. At the bottom, it says contact us. Just send us your name, your email address, your school district, and your county. And we will put you on our email on our distribution list so you don't miss out on our next newsletter.
Absolutely. Let me throw in one little plug, Jess.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a Wyoming area alum, Wyoming area is playing Pittston area tonight in their rivalry game. Wyoming area unfortunately lost last week to Southern Columbia, who's probably going to win the state championship in football.
They're always good.
But they still only have one loss. And if you're a Pittston area fan, I'm sorry to tell you this, you're going to get destroyed tonight. Wyoming area is going to beat them up, and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. Go Warriors. Taking it home, baby.
Is this a playoff week for you or no?
This is the final regular season game. Playoffs start next week.
Playoffs start next week. Okay.
Unless you're a superior team such as Wyoming area, I believe you get a week off, a bye week, because of performance throughout the season. So
yes. Well, I guess go Warriors. Yeah.
Hey, Crestwood had a good team this year too. They were pretty
good. They did. They
played a tough schedule.
They're very young. They're very young. Their quarterbacks are very young. And I think that they played a tough schedule. The Dallas Mountaineers, though.
Really good.
They're very good. They're very good. So we'll see. All right. Playoffs start next week. Thanks, guys, for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.